Good morning, Mark Suttle with HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog covering, of course, powerful Hurricane Irma Category 5. The structure looks a little different than it did yesterday. It's not quite as symmetric, so maybe some weakening has taken place, but it is still a very intense hurricane. It is passing over portions of the Lesser Antilles and Northern Antilles today. Went over Barbuda earlier, a few hours ago, now passing over St. Martin, Anguilla, and probably has passed over St. Bartolome, and they are now getting extreme southwest to southerly winds. And in fact, it's thundering here at my office in eastern North Carolina. You may be able to hear that, you may not, but it is, as that trough moves in, that's going to be the key player, at least one of them, in the evolution here of Irma over the next few days. So in the coming hours, right in here are the islands of Anguilla and St. Martin, and then over here is that Anegada, I don't know how you pronounce it, but the northern part of the British Virgin Islands right over here, and the eye may either go right over this or just north. It's hard to say, but that would be the next area. And then after that, Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands down here, Vieques, I don't see the eye coming close to those areas enough to warrant tremendous concern in terms of a direct hit. And then we will start to focus on the Turks and the Caicos Islands down the road, up here in the northwest corner of the satellite picture. Looking at the public advisory, this was the 5 a.m. information. The bearing is 285 degrees, so still moving west-northwest at 16, and the air pressure at that time was estimated to be 914 millibars, but I suspect that may have come up a little bit. We'll have to see what the recon shows on the 8 a.m. Eastern Time intermediate advisory. There is so much information in this public advisory, it would take me forever to read it to you verbatim. Now, the main thing here is it's a Category 5. We have tremendous effects. Storm surge, incredible winds, heavy rainfall, mountain flooding, mudslides, it's all there. And this needs to be continued to be taken seriously. This part in here is also very important. Every advisory package, the hurricane force winds extending 50 miles from the center, tropical storm force winds up to 175 miles away from the center. Looking at the 5-day track, again passing through and then eventually out of the Northeast Caribbean today, and then no more landfalls coming up until we get to the Turks and the Caicos and the Southeast Bahamas, and as such hurricane watches and warnings are going up across the region. And then we're seeing this turn up here more towards the north and northwest earlier, lessening the threat across the lower Keys and southwest Florida with time perhaps. It's going to be tricky. You got this first trough coming through, and then that'll lift out, and then another little piece of energy is going to dive in and maybe start this turning more quickly, possibly up towards the southeast United States. It's still too soon to know because we're talking about 5, 6, and 7 days out, and we're going to be dealing with this for a long time. That's another week, in case you didn't know that, and it's frustrating. But these 5-day forecasts are subject to large errors. And I know that there was a lot of panic in Florida yesterday. I don't want to say rightfully so, but when you have a Category 5 forecast to reach your area, even if it's a Category 4 when it gets there in the forecast, I guess that is something that will certainly get your attention. But things are going to change, and we need to keep that in mind and focus on this and take the appropriate action. If we look at the radar loop out of San Juan, you can see that the eye is now passing over. There it is right there, Anguilla. And the radar is coming out of San Juan, and this is the long-range radar, so it's a little bit distorted, but we'll be able to track this throughout the day. I'm going to do a video update later this afternoon towards the 5 p.m. advisory package. We'll see how this has progressed with time towards the rest of these islands. The northern British Virgin Islands, I think, is where the core will be headed to next. Looking at the forecast models, this was from the 6 UTC package, and overall the guidance envelope indicating a greater threat to the eastern part of Florida. Disregard these models over here for the most part. It seems like the core, basically the consensus is right up here, just to the east of Florida, perhaps. So there may be some more track changes coming up that we need to pay close attention to in the coming couple of days as this starts to make that turn eventually. But first, of course, the Northeast Caribbean today. Then maybe we get a little bit of a respite tomorrow, and then we have to start focusing intensely on the Bahamas from there. All right, that's all I've got for this morning. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. That's my site. And, of course, for Hurricane Pro and HD, I'll be back with another video discussion after the 5 p.m. advisory package late this afternoon.